I just took a huge gamble buying this $2,000 335i from an impound lot. The previous owner left it for dead at an AutoZone, so it ended up at an impound lot and sold to me for just $2,000. No keys and no idea how many miles were on it, and no clue if this thing would ever run again. But you guys watched me rebuild my Ferrari with some Harbor Freight tools, but now I want to prove something else. Building something cool doesn't have to cost a fortune. So now we're going to take this neglected 335i and bring it back from the dead on a $5,000 budget. And if we can actually pull this off, one of you watching might end up driving this home. I truly believe that hobbies have become a lost art, and I think people would be a lot happier if they spent their weekends creating, learning, and actually building something instead of scrolling their phones. So I started scrolling Facebook Marketplace for mechanic specials and project cars. And when I found this abandoned twin-turbo BMW sitting in an impound lot for $2,000, some things stuck out to me. It looked all original, which is really rare for these cars because most have bolt-ons and tunes. The interior also looked like it could be lower miles or well cared for, and the body was in decent shape. I didn't see any major damage. But there were also a lot of red flags. There was this gunk on the oil filter housing that looked like oil and coolant mixture, and then there was a black stain right above it on the hood. And of course there was a quart of oil in the trunk, and there's not many reasons you would carry that. But now that it's home, we have to get some power to it and figure out how many miles are on it. I got into the trunk area through the rear seats and I pulled the manual release. It had an original BMW battery, so if I could save it, I would like to. I put my jump pack on it and it wasn't enough juice, so I put it on the charger. The battery was so flat the charger wouldn't even start. But ultimately it failed, so I bit the bullet and I bought a new battery. I made easy work of swapping it out, and after looking at the date on the old one, it was at the end of its life cycle anyways. I got in and the no key signal came up, so I pressed the trip button and bam, it lit up. But unfortunately, the miles were a lot higher than I had hoped, 186,000. But on the bright side, someone sent me the Carfax report and it was owned by a single person from 2011 to 2023. And in that time, it was serviced over 40 times at the dealership. This car lived a good life until the last owner had it impounded. He had it for about a year, which shows you it doesn't take long to start fucking things up. But I still didn't have a key. But before we get into the key, I need to take a pause so I can address some drama that I keep seeing in the comments. Every video I post, there's always comments saying, "We want longer videos, we want you to upload more frequently." But as you guys see, I rarely take sponsors so I can keep the videos pure and entertaining for you guys. And unfortunately, views just don't pay the way they used to. So if you guys want to see me do this full time, upload all the time, make longer videos, the best way to do that is to go on my website and buy one of these Nostalgia Spec hats. They're super high quality and the brand that I'm building represents exactly what this channel is all about. We all spend time and money on these cars that doesn't really make any sense, so we could chase the feelings and check all those boxes that we set for ourselves when we were kids when it all comes to these cars. So if you have the ability and you really want to see this channel grow, check out my website, and I really appreciate all the support you guys have been giving me. Now let's go make this key. I had Daniel come out and he actually specializes in these exact cars. The first step was to pull the DME, as this holds the password to the key system. Next, he pulled out the CAS. This is the middleman between the key and the DME. But once we had these, he pulled the password from the DME, soldered into the CAS, and was able to program a new key in. But I had no idea how he was going to cut the actual key. It turns out the case has the key cutting instructions stored on it. So we loaded the blank into the key cutter and let it cut the key. But with the fresh key, the moment of truth comes. Will this gamble pay off? Squeeze in here. All right, Eleanor. Be good to me.
Well, good sign already. Give it one click real quick.
With foot on brake or no?
No, not on brake.
Okay.
Okay. Foot on brake. Let it rip.
Uh-oh. I mean, that's not bad.
Because I have so much experience with these, I have a N54 throttle body reset.
Let's go.
Let me do it real quick.
Yeah. Dude, that thing fired right up.
Right out, dude. I'm I'm curious. Let me close this.
Okay. Oh, and the back. I heard the locks in the back. Oh, man.
Okay, please make sure the ignition is turned off. Press the gas pedal to full throttle while the ignition is off. Turn the ignition on to the third position for 30 seconds.
After doing the throttle body calibration, we gave it another try. And just like that, it smoothed right out. So somehow the gamble was actually paying off. For $2,000, I officially had a running twin-turbo BMW. And not just any BMW, one of the best platforms they ever made. Let's go. Now, we're not exactly Scrooge McDuck just yet, because if there's one thing I know about old German cars, they don't exactly show all their problems until you actually drive them. But to give ourselves the best chance possible, we need to take this car through the process of which I like to call de-pre-owning. Because even if you don't have the nicest stuff, if you take care of it, it'll feel nicer, and a clean car always runs better. I started off by spraying down the 3M tape and the old stickers in the back with Goo Gone. And while that worked on the old adhesive, I had to address the engine bay. It was coated in grime and dirt, so I gave it a rinse with my pressure washer. Then I soaked it down in some all-purpose cleaner, and I hit the really dirty areas with my brush before rinsing it all away. And while it was still wet, I coated it in hyperdressing. Then I closed the hood and let the hyperdressing do its work. Next, the wheels. These have definitely seen better days, but if we can get them decently clean, they'll look a lot better. And the most satisfying part was spraying off all the dirt that built up while it sat at the impound lot. I foamed it down. I gave it a nice hand wash. And I moved on to the interior. I got the bulk of the dirt out by vacuuming, and then I gave it a quick once over with the extractor. While doing this, I noticed the terrible pedal covers that were glued on, so I ripped them off. He also glued the steering wheel cover, which completely destroyed the steering wheel, unfortunately. And then there was this terrible carbon fiber wrap on the trim, which somehow looked worse than the Grandpa Spec would. As I cleaned the leather, I started to realize it might be too far gone, so this might get the Chef Joni treatment on the interior. And of course, like every used BMW, we had to replace the hood struts because they were completely blown. I put my vice grips on the failing strut to hold it up, and then I just used a flathead to pry the old ones off. The new ones are from Amazon and they were only $15 and they pop right on just like OEM. And with all that done, it looked good. It definitely didn't look like a $2,000 impound car. There's just a certain pride that comes with dialing in your stuff, even if deep down it's just a $2,000 junkyard car. But now it's time to see what we really got ourselves into and take it for a drive. I mean, it runs pretty good, especially for the price, but even the AC kicked on. It's ice cold, but all the windows work. So we'll take it for a drive and see if it shows any problems. I don't hear anything major. Goes into gear just fine. See if it shifts. There we go, second gear. This is crazy. This does not feel like a $2,000 car anymore. So I am seeing a battery light and it looks like the airbag and seatbelt light are on. So I know sometimes on these cars, the occupancy sensor goes bad in the passenger seat. So yeah, that didn't do anything. So this is nostalgic back to my first car. I had an E90. It drives really smooth, even drives straight, like it doesn't even need an alignment. For me, I think I would rather have a highly maintained, higher mileage car than a neglected lower mile car. Because I mean, even driving right now takes away a lot of the guesswork. Like if I didn't see all the maintenance that it had, I don't know that I would, be taking it on a drive right now, but I'm guessing the battery light might be an alternator since the battery is new and I programmed it. Oh, we got the check engine light. Right when I put a little throttle on it, that light came right up. So it could just be a simple vacuum leak or it could be something seriously wrong. So we'll scan it when we get home. But overall, I'm not hearing or feeling anything major. Oh no, we got smoke. I do see some smoke coming. I don't know if that's because the turbos are blown, but definitely not a good sign. And just like that, the cheap BMW ownership experience begins.